You know, 7, 8 months ago, you were picking up a hammer, I don't know for the first time, but you know, you were building your first tiny, and now here you are. So congratulations. How are you feeling as a teacher?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm feeling really happy. It has definitely come with some bumps in the road, tackling supplies that I've been missing and then figuring out where we can proceed forward so that we don't, get stuck behind waiting on something. And just, this is all brand new to me. So it's also just that hump of getting over like, okay, how do I teach this and how do you know that it's sticking? And when you see them, moving along and doing what they're supposed to do, it gives you a really great sense of accomplishment. Like, okay, I am doing a good job. And like I said, there's days that things happen and you just have to get over it and overcome it. And that takes work. It takes a lot of patience, but we're getting there. We're getting it done. And I'm super, super, super happy and very, very, very excited. Oh, my students are doing great. I am so happy. I'm so excited. I think that they're doing a phenomenal job. They're all pretty hardworking. I'd say that they all have some good work ethic, and we're moving along. Things are going great. The biggest challenges to their growth, honestly, it's the same thing that we went through when I was a student. It's that frustration of having to do something, tear it apart, and redo it again. And I totally can sympathize with them, and I see how frustrated they get, and that's very, very difficult. It's a very difficult thing to overcome mentally and physically because they're exhausted. Their bodies are still getting used to this, but they're doing really well. So I think that if they learn how to harness that frustration and they're able to just put it into their work, they're gonna be just fine. So when we got into framing, I remember specifically telling them that they were going to be pulling 2x4s apart and they were going to be putting them back together, and it was probably going to happen more than one time. And sure enough, it did. And every single one of my students had to do this. I could see their frustration, but I could share in that with them, in that I have been there myself. And so I told them, just persevere, just, push through it. I understand that right now maybe it doesn't make sense why we have to do this frame and why it has to be 16 on center and why it has to be perfect. But that kind of also is nice because then afterwards when they move on to the next step, they see the importance of why 16 on center, was so meticulous. Like they're putting up their sheathing next and they see, oh, that house doesn't have the 2x4 where it's supposed to go. So now you got to go in there and fix it once again. So, but they're starting to learn. They're starting to get that, so it will become muscle memory for the second time when they build the next house, or for the third time when they build the third house. They don't need me to explain why the 16 on center needs to be on center, why it needs to be done correctly. They will remember having to pull that apart and put it back together and pull it apart and put it back together. So
we're ready for inspection.
today my class has finished their installation and they have all gotten inspected. I think I have just one class one pair of students that's almost done. So they're my only ones that are a little bit behind. But when I say that, take that with a grain of salt because they will be getting onto drywall here shortly. So installation was done and they got inspected. So now we're hanging drywall. So I have had all the students go and grab what supplies they need, take them into their house. We start off with the ceilings first and then we do walls. So hopefully it's not too hard because they don't have to make a lot of cuts quite yet. All right, so as you can see here, these guys did a wonderful job with their installation. That passed inspection. And then we're gonna get started on drywall. So they have a few sheets in here already, but this whole sheet, they're gonna start with the ceiling first. So we'll need a team lift here and pick it on up, have somebody tack in the corners and then fill in the rest of the screws. And then proceed forward and go on to the next one. They'll make a cut on the last piece over there. So today we had to learn the meaning of factory edge to factory edge, you know, and they're going to learn how to use their drywall T-squares as well to make those nice straight cuts. And that's where we are today. They're also going to learn how to make cuts. They'll have to learn how to take measurements for like the electrical boxes up there and for their outlet boxes. So they'll have to learn how to take measurements and transfer that onto the drywall to make sure to cut those little rectangles out for their receptacles. I'm taking that tortoise and hare approach on this, where we're gonna take it nice and easy and we're gonna get the job done correctly or about as well as we can with the most minimal amount of mistakes as possible. And so far it seems to be paying off. You know, I was told today by Dan that we have some of the neatest and cleanest houses. So me as a teacher, that makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing my job. And them as students, I'm teaching them, you know, what they need to be doing so that when they're farther along, it's not something that I need to be pestering them about in the future. I will always say that this school is for anybody and everybody. And I really do think that everybody should do it. It's great education to have in your back pocket, you know. You're a homeowner and you need to fix something, you don't need to call anybody. And right now with the shortage of people, it's so expensive to call on somebody else. If you can learn how to do all this stuff for yourself, like, more power to you. And it's a great program.